We've done US 1, we've also done US 3, and we recently done US 6, so get ready for US 8. Alright everyone, today we're going to be doing US Highway 8. US 8 is a odd one-digit US highway as it's not paired with the rest of the single-digit US highways up in the northeast. It's actually up in the northern Midwest where it's very rural, but does have some scenic views along the road. Also, if you're wondering about why I chose a sheep Sonic character, it's because there are a lot more sheep on this road than there are people. So let us get started with US Highway 8. But first, you're watching the TheDerpHog, where I make highways content on all sorts of different topics. If you've been enjoying it, be sure to hit that like button. And if you've been really enjoying it, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you're notified on all future videos. And if you really want to help out the channel, become a member today where you get custom cool emojis, early access to future videos, along with one free egg request per month. And if you don't want to become a member, you can always just pay $3 for a intersection request in future videos. Those highways will be listed down in the description below, and I'll make sure to shout you out when that video releases. So let's get on with the highway. As we can see here, this is the map of US Highway 8 as it runs from a junction with Interstate 35 just north of the Twin Cities, heading through northern Wisconsin, ending at a junction with US Highway 2 in Norway, Michigan in the Upper Peninsula. So with that, we're going eastbound on US 8. So we begin here on Interstate 35 itself, where we can see that US 8 is getting signed for Taylor's Falls. Personally, I'd rather see St. Croix Falls instead, because St. Croix Falls is in Wisconsin and is bigger than Taylor's Falls, and this is just Minnesota here being provincial, so I do not like seeing Taylor's Falls here. And once we go into US 8 itself, we do have a reassurance shield, and look at all that space for that US 8 shield. And here we have our first junction, US Highway 61, or we have an indirect junction with it, as you have to use 2nd Street to get there. And here we get our first mileage sign with Taylor's Falls from being 21 miles away. Personally, I'd like to see St. Croix Falls on here instead, please. And outside of Taylor's Falls, we meet with Minnesota 95. We're now going to be concurrent with it as we head towards downtown-ish area. And here we get a one-liner for just Taylor's Falls. So I don't know why Minnesota is being provincial here. Do they hate Wisconsin so much that they don't want to sign anything in the state? And here in Taylor's Falls, Minnesota 95 splits off from us, and US 8 is going to be crossing the St. Croix River here. And here we are crossing over that St. Croix River, so pretty cool. And right away we meet with the Wisconsin Highway 35, and we also get a Wisconsin welcome sign. And we can see that we're now getting signed for Baaaaaron, which I think is an okay choice. In fact, on our next mileage time, we actually get Cameron now as our primary, which is slightly less populated than Baaaaaron, but it's okay to be sane on this mileage time for now. Here's where Wisconsin 35 splits off from US Highway 8, as US 8 is going to be continuing toward Turtle Lake and Baaaaaron. In fact, those are our next two towns on our next mileage sign. Here in Turtle Lake, we meet with US Highway 63. We're now going to be concurrent with it as we head towards Baaaaaron and Spooner. And here's where US 63 splits off from US Highway 8 here in Turtle Lake, and we are now being signed for Baaaaaron still. And in fact, our next mileage time, we do get Baaaaaron from 14 miles away. And after going through Almena, we get now Ladysmith as our primary from 46 miles away, so they're just entirely skipping over Cameron here. Interesting. Here outside of Cameron, we meet with US Highway 53 getting signed for Superior and Eau Claire respectively. And if you want to check out a video on US 53, my good friend Extreme Geography made one in the top right corner here. And our next mileage time, we still get Ladysmith as our primary from 32 miles away. Also, I'm not going to try to pronounce that first town name. That looks like Florida gibberish. Here in Ladysmith, we meet with Wisconsin Highway 27 here, and Ladysmith looks like a kind of nice little town. And here we are now crossing over another river, and this is just one scenic view. I'd like to come here in Wisconsin someday. And we also passed right by US Highway 8 Motel. So we have another place that is named after another highway. And here we get another mileage sign, and we now get Prentice from 40 miles away. I do not like the control city of Prentice. Prentice only has like 580 people. That should be Rhinelander or something, not Prentice. And this is in one of the really small towns. They're now getting signed for GreenFlower from 4 miles away. Wisconsin, what are you doing here? I want to see Rhinelander now. Rhinelander is the next biggest place we'll be passing through, not these small little towns. Luckily, our next mileage sign, we do get Rhinelander as our primary from 75 miles away. Personally, you could have signed it since Ladysmith, but it's okay here. Here we meet with Wisconsin Highway 13, and we're now getting signed for Rhinelander still. And in fact, our next mileage sign, we do get Rhinelander as our primary from 46 miles away, and we still have Prentice on the mileage sign here. We do not need it, we're only a mile outside of town. Here we meet with US Highway 51 outside of Rhinelander, and we're going to be continuing towards downtown. And our next mileage sign, we now get Leona as our primary from 54 miles away. I mean, Leona is actually smaller than Crandon. I would prefer just see Crandon and Rhinelander here. No need for Leona. If you want to sign something beyond Leona, I would prefer maybe to see like Norway, Michigan or something. Not just Leona. Here we meet with Wisconsin Highway 47 outside of Rhinelander. And here we also meet with Wisconsin Highway 17. I better hope not to see US Highway 17 error shield up here. And once Wisconsin 17 joins us, we now get Antigo as our primary from 45 miles away, which I do agree with because it is actually bigger than the rest of the places that we've been passing through, so it is a good job favoring Wisconsin 17 here, or US 45 actually. Here we meet with US Highway 45, which will take you down to Antigo, and we're now getting signed for Crandon and Eagle River. In fact, we get that our next mileage sign with Crandon on the top line and Eagle River as our primary from 28 miles away. Here's where US 45 splits off from US Highway 8, and I will be doing a US 45 series this year. And we're going to be continuing east towards Crandon now. And we still get Leona as our primary from 25 miles away. I mean, it is better than what we are going to be passing through for the rest of our route until Norway, Michigan, so it is okay here, but not from like 50 miles out. And after going through Leona, we now get Norway, Michigan as our primary from 46 miles away, which is an awesome choice. And here we meet with US Highway 141, and we're now going to have a short concurrency with it as we head towards the Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And here's where we split off from US 141, as it will take you up to Iron Mountain while we're going to be heading towards Norway, Michigan. And here we are crossing over the Menominee River here. And we end at US Highway 2 in downtown Norway. So with that, we're going to be turning around and doing westbound US 8. So we begin here on US 2, where we can see that US 8 is actually being signed for Green Bay, which is, as a Control City enthusiast, that is an awesome choice, but as a Bears fan, boo, boo. And after heading out of Norway, we crossed over the Menominee River once again. And now we're going to be joining with US Highway 141, which is the road that will take you down to Green Bay. In fact, we do get Green Bay as our primary from 87 miles away, and we actually get Rhinelander for us from a good 86 miles away. This is awesome, Wisconsin. Here's where we split off from US Highway 141 as it'll head towards Green Bay, and we're now getting signed for Rhinelander, so that is an awesome choice. In fact, our next mileage time, we get Crandon from 51 miles away and Rhinelander from 78. Here's where we meet US Highway 45 outside of Rhinelander, and we're now going to be concurrent with it for a short time. And here's where we split off from US 45, and Wisconsin 47 is now going to be concurrent with us. And we're now getting signed for Prentice. No, If we were deciding Rhinelander from a good 80 miles away, I'd rather see Ladysmith from also a good 80 miles away. No need for Prentice. Prentice should not be a control city on this road. And once we leave Rhinelander, we're still getting Prentice as a primary from 48 miles away. I don't even know what Morill, Wisconsin is. Here's where we split off from Wisconsin 47, and we're now going to be heading towards Prentice and Ladysmith. In fact, our next mileage side, we do get Prentice as our secondary and Ladysmith as our primary. So it looks like that Wisconsin is doing a whole lot better on westbound than they were going eastbound. Here we meet with US Highway 51 once again. And here in Ladysmith, we meet with Wisconsin Highway 27. And after going through Ladysmith, we get another mileage sign, and we now get Cameron as our primary from 32 miles away. I mean, I would also like to see maybe Baaaaaaaron on here too, but Cameron is still decently sized, and is the closest town we'll be meeting US 53. Here we meet with US Highway 53. Being the same control cities that we saw going eastbound. And after passing by US 53, we get a sign telling us that we're meeting road 12 3/4 of an avenue. So can we add another quarter to make it 13th Avenue, please? And next mileage time, we now get St. Croix Falls from 43 miles away. I mean, St. Croix Falls is an okay primary from here. I would prefer to see maybe one of the Twin Cities being signed, because US 8 is one of the fastest ways to get there from here, so maybe you could throw on here Wisconsin. And then here in Turtle Lake, we meet with US Highway 63 once again, and we're now going to be concurrent with it as we head through downtown Turtle Lake. And here's where we split off from US Highway 63, as it's going to be heading south toward Baldwin, and we're now going to be heading towards St. Croix Falls still. In fact, we now just get a one-liner for it from 21 miles away. Now I definitely want to see the Twin Cities here, Wisconsin. Come on. Here outside of St. Croix Falls, I meet with Wisconsin Highway 35 here, and we're now going to have a concurrency with it. And we now get Osceola as our primary from 11 miles away, which is slightly bigger than St. Croix Falls, but it's still in Wisconsin. I would prefer to see the Twin Cities instead. And here we split off from Wisconsin Highway 35, as that will take you over to Osceola. And here we meet with Wisconsin 87 before we cross over the St. Croix River, and we can see that we're now getting signed for Forest Lake. No, I would prefer to see the Twin Cities here now, Wisconsin. And here in downtown Taylor Falls, we meet with Minnesota Highway 95, as we're now getting signed for Forest Lake and Stillwater. I mean, if one of those is for Minnesota 95, I would prefer to see the Twin Cities here, Minnesota. In fact, in our next mileage time, we get Forest Lake from 20 miles away and Stillwater as our primary from 30. Here is the Minnesota welcome sign. So it's about, half a mile and a half into the state. And here's where Minnesota 95 splits off from US Highway 8, as US 8 is now going to be heading west towards the Twin Cities. But our next mileage time, we get Forest Lake from 16 miles away. I mean, you could remove one of those top line cities and put the Twin Cities on the bottom line here. Why are you neglecting it with Minnesota? Luckily, after going through one of those smaller towns, we do get St. Paul as our primary from 31 miles away. Personally, you could have signed it since Turtle Lake, Wisconsin, but at least it's getting signed now because there's really nothing left. Here we meet with US Highway 61 getting signed for Forest Lake in Wyoming, Minnesota. And after meeting US Highway 61, we are now ending at Interstate 35, and 35 will take you south into the Twin Cities. So with that, we end US Highway 8 and we move on to the way it should be. So these are all the places that I think should be signed on both directions of US 8. So going eastbound, I would start with St. Croix Falls, then Baaaaaaaron, then Ladysmith, then Rhinelander, then Antigo for US 45. Once US 45 splits off, then Crandon, then Iron Mountain once we join US 141, and then when we split off from it, I would do just Norway. And then going westbound, I would start off with that Green Bay, then Duke Crandon, then Rhinelander, then Ladysmith, then Barron, then from Barron I just go with this Twin Cities, just straight up Twin Cities. So that ends US Highway 8. Thank y'all so much for watching this short episode on US Highway 8. I hope you had a lot of fun learning about this highway, and I certainly did, as it is a pretty nice scenic highway that I definitely would like to travel someday. So with that, here are my next few highways. For the next couple weeks, I'm going to be doing US Highway 60, and then in between those two episodes, I'm going to be doing US 460, and after that, I'm going to be doing Massachusetts Route 140. So if you have any intersection requests for any of these coming highways, please let me know down in the comment section below. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next week as we do the Great US 60. Bye!